So we're already halfway through Hawkeye.
I didn't even notice that we were halfway through.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be giving you our spoiler review of episode 3 of Hawkeye. So if you have not seen it, make sure to go watch it, save this video, come back for our spoiler thoughts. But spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Cam, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was good.
I thought it was good as well. I was a little unsatisfied with it, and that has nothing to do with over hype or expectations. It just feels like this could have been released last week.
It does have to do with expectations, but they're reasonable expectations.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I feel like this episode didn't do as good of a job of progressing the story as it could have, because we are now halfway through. There's only 3 episodes left. Again, a lot of this portion of this episode was focusing on other things and other characters, which we'll get into in a second, but I loved the opening of the episode. I think it's one of the better openings for a Marvel show, just because we get to know a character in Echo who we didn't know anything about when she was revealed last week, so we were kind of confused. But we see her this week. She's deaf. She has a nice relationship with her father. And then
boom! Her father's dead.
Another MCU dad bites the dust, unfortunately. I thought that it was really a gut punch when he passed away, because he didn't just pass away. He passed away at the hands of Ronan, a.k.a. Hawkeye, a.k.a. Clint, the main character of the show.
Clint apologists. What do you have to say about that one? Ronan apologists. What do we have to say?
It made me feel the way I felt when Tony watches the tape of Bucky killing Tony's parents. It just reminds me of like seeing someone who's supposed to be like a heroic figure in a way doing something so tragic and awful. It just kind of makes you feel almost torn inside. And I think the show has done a good job throughout this entire episode and the other episodes of showing Clint have to face down these demons. Maybe we should talk about the biggest reveal in this episode. The fact that we see Kingpin's hand. You can tell it's him just based on the hand, and then of course the suit, it just looks a lot like him.
He's a fat, large man. It's Kingpin.
It's Kingpin, 1,000,000% confirmed.
It can't not be Kingpin.
So then of course we go back to modern day and we see Kate and Clint are still captive. I think the escape sequence is pretty well done.
I like that it's one shot. Very cool. The fight scene before they break out of the building is really cool, because there's a lot of cool slow-mo moments with like Clint jumping and shooting his arrow, and then Kate swinging on the floor.
A lot of people will complain about the CGI in this episode, and I thought that it was noticeably bad at a few times, but nothing that really took me out of the episode. The worst shot was when the Play-Doh arrow went off on the windshield. That just looked really poor.
It was giving Spy Kids.
Yeah, it was bad. It was cheesy bad. And then also the scene where they jump off the bridge. I don't know if you noticed this, but like for a split second, Haley's face looked completely distorted.
Really?
I think I caught it. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it looked really whack for like a split second, right when they jumped off the bridge. Yeah, but those are again nitpicks. It's not something that actually has that much of an impact on the story of the episode, which for the most part, again, we're learning more about Echo, the tracksuit mafia. Really tragic when we see a scene where Clint actually loses hearing aid. His family calls him, and it's his son, and he can't communicate with him, so Kate is having to write down at an unrealistically fast speed, actually, what the son is saying.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really emotional moment when we see Clint having to talk to his son. He's like, he might not be home for the holidays. Just adds to the stakes of this show. There's also a funny bit where they go to a diner. We actually find out Clint got his hearing aid fixed, and he had it out the whole time because Kate was just kind of babbling.
Yeah. There's lots of good moments between Kate and Clint in this episode, especially like when they escape the tracksuit mafia and they're on a train, and they kind of have a moment where Kate's like, oh, we should really walk the dog, but Clint cannot hear her. He says something, and then he's like, yeah, we should really walk the dog.
Yeah.
So they're more similar than he would probably like to admit.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. It kind of shows they're developing a relationship, even though he's very against that, at least on the outside, it seems like he is.
Very cynical.
Yeah. Also, Lucky has a few moments where he kind of steals the scene. He's the cutest animal in the MCU by a long shot, I would say.
Besides Goose.
Goose is cool too, I guess.
We're also learning a bit more about this Kazi fella. The guy that's like, he's the interpreter in the tracksuit mafia. I like him. I think he's an interesting character.
Knock off Dane Whitman, just the way he dresses. It's the one outfit for me.
We were both a little let down by the ending of this episode. It ends with Kate and Clint like sneaking back into Kate's penthouse and using her mom's security system and like kind of hacking it or whatever to just sort of look up things on the tracksuit mafia. And their plan was to also look up things on Jack, and then Clint's walking around, and the last thing we see is Jack holding the Ronin sword to Clint's neck, being like, don't move. The only reason it's a little upsetting is because, like I mentioned earlier, I think a fair and realistic expectation was to see either Kingpin face-wise or Yelena at the end of this episode, considering the fact that we're halfway through the show at this point.
Absolutely. I think that's why a lot of us were let down. And just the fact that the episode, it felt pretty quick. It was like when the credits rolled, it was at like the 38-minute mark, I want to say, or something.
Felt very quick.
So again, it feels like it could have just been a situation where Marvel does 3 super long episodes, or just like you had suggested, 2 episodes a week. Because I don't know if this show necessarily needs to be dragged out across 6 weeks.
You said something at the very beginning of this video where you were like, you felt like this episode didn't progress the plot very well. I disagree on that, and I counter it by saying I think it did progress the plot, just not in the direction that everyone was expecting it to.
Fair.
Which was a fair expectation for people to think it was going to progress, but I think the show is we're going to see it focus a bit more on Jack.
Yeah.
And her mom, which makes sense.
It's interesting because the way I look at it is like in the first 2 episodes, they set up Jack and her mom and that whole storyline, and they're not in this episode. We introduce Echo. So I'm kind of worried with regard to Yelena coming in and Kingpin's character. Are we going to get more progression on them and then just kind of take away time from these characters who were mainstays in the first 2 episodes? I'm not really sure.
Jack is to John Walker as Echo and the Tracksuit Mafia are to the Flag Smashers, or vice versa.
Yeah.
It could be Jack is more of the Flag Smashers. Whichever one is the lesser of the villains is the Flag Smashers, and then the main villain I would give to John Walker.
I'm not upset with the ending. It does pretty much confirm that Jack killed Armand, which we all kind of knew out the gate.
I don't think it confirms it, but I do think it was
99%.
him. Yeah.
Who would you say if not him? I'm just curious.
No, I think it was him. You're the one that last week thought that it could have been Eleanor, and I don't think Eleanor ever killed him.
That was just conjecture.
I think that it was definitely him because they were talking at the auction and he was like, why don't we leave my wife out of this?
We get some more gut-wrenching moments between Hawkeye and his fam. Is he going to get back to them in time for Christmas? Who knows? Kate's coming of her own, and that's really all there is to it. We get a cool action scene, a little bit of humor in there, and learn a little bit more. But we only have 3 episodes left, so they're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, in my opinion.
I haven't lost all my faith yet, though, because I do feel like, in a way, the Falcon Winter Soldier was the same way. At this point, Falcon Winter Soldier, we had just gone to Madripoor. Remember at the end of the episode, we were like, it was cool. It was a great episode, but, like, where are we going? Who's the power broker? And it's kind of the same thing here. It's like, where's Yelena? Where's Kingpin? Where are we going from here? And I do think the next 3 episodes are going to be very packed.
So not every TV show, in my opinion, has to be a week-to-week basis. I think some function better from a story perspective if they're released all at once. Hawkeye is a prime example of that, in my opinion, as this show picks up right where the last episode left off for the most part. So I think this would have just been more beneficial to drop it all at once, because a lot of people like to consume media that way in today's society. I would have liked to just see the story all in one sitting, because it's playing out like a movie, unlike a lot of the others. I'd say the closest is Falcon and Winter Soldier, but Loki and WandaVision more so had these time jumps and dealt with more universal, multiversal stakes. This is a simpler story. Drop it all at once, let people watch it when they want to the holiday season. I get it from a business standpoint, but that's just my 2 cents.
I can confirm, as somebody who watched the first 2 episodes in an IMAX theater, it does feel like a movie, and it could have probably functioned better as a movie. I still think that the best course of action probably would have been releasing 2 episodes every week.
Totally valid.
Just to get more plot and more story into it.
So when do you think Yelena will show up?
I really want to say it's next episode. I explained this on the watch party, but I think we've already seen Yelena in the trailer. She just has a mask on, and it's a very quick shot, so no one's like really mentioned it or said anything about it, but I think we've seen her, and I think we're gonna maybe see her next episode.
I hope it's the next one. If it's not, if it's the finale, I'll be upset if that's the first time we see her.
I don't think it will be, because if she is in the shot that I think she's in, Kate is still in her old costume and not her new outfit that we see her get. So she has to show up before the last episode.
Yeah, very interesting. But we'll see what happens. That's going to do it for our spoiler review and breakdown of episode 3 of Hawkeye. Make sure to hit the like button, comment your thoughts, spoiler-filled, in the comments down below. Make sure to stay tuned for episode 4 content next week with the watch party and the spoiler review / breakdown. Follow Cam on all our social medias. They're linked down below. But again, we'll be covering Hawkeye through the rest of the season, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. That's going to do it. We're halfway through. It's really crazy that Marvel shows fly by so fast. Thank you guys again for watching. You scared the shit out of me the way you looked. Sorry. Hold on.
I was literally zoned out and thinking about something else.
You'll see. All right. It's so scary. Hold on. All right. Okay. Hold on.
What did I do?
Gather yourself.
I was thinking about something that made me
angry.
angry.
You are here now. You are.
I was thinking about something that made me angry. Okay. Till I have an angry face.
You went like this. Ready? Look in the camera. It was terrifying.